I'd like to call the meeting to order.
Stand up or salute the flag.
Please call the roll.
Here. Oh, okay.
Here.
You don't have it in there?
Here.
Here. Oh, I'm waiting for somebody.
Yeah.
No, that's supposed to go. Eric. Okay.
Here.
Oh.
Please stand for the salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The notice requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the notice having been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster and filed at the office of the Township Clerk on July 25th, 2018. Emergency notice. There's an emergency exit through the courtroom doors and 2 exits at the rear of the room. No smoking. Board policy, no new cases after 11 p.m. No new testimony taken after 11:30. In addition, the applicant will be limited to 45 minutes of testimony. Notice, all meetings will be video and audio taped and shown on the Township of Ocean's Community Cable Channel number 22 on Verizon Fios on Channel 77 on Cablevision. All cell telephones must be turned off. If you need to make a call, please make your call outside the meeting room. Meeting for minutes for approval. August 16th regular meeting. Somebody offer?
I offer.
Second. Rachel, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
And Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Resolution and recognition for Maureen Bonney. Resignation.
I have a resolution to be read here. Township of Ocean Board of Adjustment resolution where Maureen Bonney was appointed to the Township of Ocean Board of Adjustment on October 17th, 2012 as alternate number 4. Appointed as alternate number 3 on July 1, 2013. Appointed as alternate number 2 on September 17th, 2013. Appointed as alternate number 1 on September 5th, 2014. And reappointed as an alternate number 1 July 1st, 2015. And whereas Ms. Bonney was appointed a 4-year member of July 1st, 2016, and whereas Ms. Maureen Bonney has consistently performed her duties in an exemplary manner to the Board of Adjustment, Township of Ocean, and whereas Ms. Maureen Bonney resigned her position as a member on August 13th, 2018 due to a change in residency. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Township Board of Adjustment hereby recognize the contributions made by Maureen Bonney to the citizens of the Township of Ocean and to the Board of Adjustment and wish her the best in her new home. May be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the members of the Township Council and the Township Clerk. May it further be resolved that this resolution herewith is adopted on September 20th, 2018. The foregoing resolution is offered by...
I offer.
Second. Seconded by Mr. Malta. Adopted on a roll call vote. Yes.
That's the condition.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you go this, then
Yes.
you also have to give a deed. 2 separate variances.
Yes.
This is the deed.
Yes. Roll call, all in favor. Therefore, it be true of the resolution adopted by the Township of Ocean Board of Adjustment on the 20th day of September. Rachel Board Secretary.
And we will miss her. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, cases carried to October 18th, 2018, or in Linder Block 4, 40.03, Lot 3, 608 Deal Road, Ocean. Maverick Nunez Valles, Block 38, Lot 117, 149, Bound Road, Wayside. Case number 3, Fahar and Rebecca Salome, Block 22, Lot 44.02, 249 Overbrook Avenue, Oakhurst, R4 Zone, to October 18th. Case number 6, Bartholomew and Jennifer Healy, Block 77, Lot 3, 1114, Bendemeer Avenue, Wanamassa. And Burke Contracting, Block 142, Lots 40, 40.01, and 46, 3602 Sunset Avenue, 100 Hopewell Avenue, Ocean. Those cases will all be heard October 18th. Cases carried to November 29th, Morris Dweck, Block 43, Lots 1 and 2, 300 Parker Avenue, Deal. 485 South Edgemere Drive, LLC, Block 76, Lot 5, 485 South Edgemere Drive, West Allenhurst. Resolutions and memorializations. They're hanging on the wall, hoping that nobody will want me to read them individually. Can I offer them all at once? Okay. David Hamadani, Block 25.27, Lot 7, 199 Oakhurst Road, Oakhurst, bulk variance approval. Flashpoint Payments, Block 61.05, Lot 2, 550 North Edgemere Drive West, Allenhurst, bulk variance approval. Dennis Randall, Gerald Miller, Block 131, Lots 11, 2001 South Wanamassa Drive, Wanamassa, bulk variance approval. Felix Papadakis, Block 140.01, Lot 4, 201 Lincoln Drive, Colonial Terrace, bulk variance approval. Maurice and Adeline Benjamin, Block 22, Lot 38, 250 Overbrook Avenue, Oakhurst, bulk variance approval. Which brings us to case number 1, St. George Greek.
Wait, somebody
I move for.
I'm sorry.
Move them.
Move the resolution.
I second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
And Mr. Worrell?
Yes.
Now we're on case number 1. St. George Greek Orthodox Church, Block 1.02, Lot 73, 1033 West Park Avenue, Ocean Zone, AR3-PRD. This is an application for minor site plan approval in order to make modifications to existing infiltration bases and construct a storage building. D and C variances are required. Attorney for the applicant, Thomas J. Hirsch, Esquire. Good evening, Mr. Hirsch.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I suppose you want to do the...
Yes, can we mark the packet in? Okay. And Bill, your report? Jim, your report?
I'll do mine. I'll just summarize it. What they require is a D variance from a condition for a conditional use. The front yard setback, the ordinance requires that for a church, the front yard setback be 100 feet. And they're proposing to have the front yard setback be about 5 feet from the property line. But it's the property line that's adjacent to the ramp that goes on to Route 18. There's nothing within 100 feet of where that building's being located. It's set down low, so it's not really visible from off-site. So the standard for the condition of a conditional use is that can the site accommodate the use despite the need for that variance? And in this case, I believe it can. I don't think it's a major problem at all. They've also requested a variance for the height of the accessory building, and it's a little bit confusing, but since the standards, the conditional use standards, apply to all buildings, whether they're accessory or principal, and the height that's permitted is 35 feet. This building is well below the 35 feet, so that variance isn't necessary.
Okay.
I have a report, Mr. Chairman, and I don't have any engineering issue with the accessory building that's proposed, regardless of what variances it needs, for the same reason that that Jim just described. I have some concerns regarding the detention basin. It has never worked, and it needs to get done, and it needs to get done fairly fast, because there's a lot of homes that get impacted by properties that don't mitigate their floodwater. Okay. Having said that, I have an outline for a schedule that we haven't met, so hopefully we can do something about expediting that part of it. Other than that, you know, they do have modifications to the basin as part of the site plan, which require your approval, but they're superficial, if you will, in the sense of they're going to make maybe an athletic type of a venue with some seating and a play area. The basin is dry; it's a perfect use for it because it's going to have a grass surface. Those require the site plan approval, but the modifications to get the thing functioning again are not absolutely necessary. So, if the board would encourage the applicant to get started quickly, it would be great.
Okay. Mr. Hirsch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you've heard from the two reports, the issue of the accessory structure, which is a storage building, is fairly straightforward and simple. It's a variance because we're by Route 18 on the ramp. It's a 1,210 square foot accessory building. I'm going to have the pastor of the church testify, and we're also going to have our engineer go over the changes relative to the drainage basin, although the technical aspects, the drainage itself, as Bill has indicated, are really not what we're seeking approval. They've, I think, pretty much worked out with Bill how the system's going to work now, and we want to start that work very quickly. As Bill says, this is a concern for the town. With that, I'd like to call Father Andrew Eugenus.
Please state your name and address.
Father Andrew Genus. I'm the priest at St. George Greek Orthodox Church, 1033 West Park Avenue.
I'm not going to ask you to swear to God.
Okay. That's okay.
All right.
Could you spell your last name?
Eugenis.
All right.
And you, he is under oath, sort of.
I'm under oath.
He's on the oath.
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
He's always under oath.
I'm always under oath.
Okay.
Father, you've indicated, again briefly, your position with St. George Greek Orthodox Church. You're the pastor of that church,
Correct.
essentially. And you've been so for how long?
18 years now here in Ocean Township and Asbury Park.
And ever since the new church was built where it's
Absolutely.
at, you've been the guy in charge.
Correct.
And part of the application here tonight is to get permission to construct a storage structure, which you heard us discuss. Can you give the board some background as to why the church had came to me and requested that we
Sure.
obtain this variance to allow this structure on the property?
We moved into the Ocean Township facility in April of 2012, where prior to that in Asbury Park, we had 250 families roughly, 300, and now we're up to 400 families, so the church has grown by 100 family units. We've done outreach to the entire community. We started our Greek festival, and the primary purpose for the structure will be to store our equipment used for the Greek festival. We've run out of space within the complex. The festival has grown over the years, so we're seeking that building, and it'll be in concert. Obviously, we want a great looking facility. We spend all that time and money to build a facility. We're going to make that. It's not just going to be a shed over there. It's going to be a nice structure. It's going to be in harmony, be built within harmony of the current facility.
And they're going to be matching in terms of the exterior brick surface,
Absolutely.
almost mirroring what the wall, closest wall to the church would look like.
Yes, it's going to be, and architecturally, it'll be the same elements as the church structure. Again, we don't want to have a shed in the back of our property. We want it to look aesthetically pleasing.
And the purpose of this building is only for the use of the church, correct?
Only for the use of the church, correct?
All right.
It's on church property, obviously.
That's all the questions I have, Father Eugene.
Okay, currently there are storage trailers that this is going to
Oh,
replace.
Yes.
Okay.
That'll be removed, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
What's the timing?
As soon as we can get the approvals.
So within 30 days of the CO, you're going to remove the
CO
trailers?
for the building,
I
you
mean,
mean?
CO to the.
CO for the
Yeah, for that building.
is that enough time?
Mhm,
I mean,
absolutely.
we need a
It's fine.
okay.
Sure don't.
Do you need a time frame on the CO for on the construction of the building?
That's it. What do you think? My professionals say, when are you going to build this, or is it built?
As soon as possible.
6 months give you plenty of time?
George, 6 months? Okay. Mhm.
Okay, so you're going to remove the sheds.
Remove the storage trailer, correct?
Can we give him 45 days instead of 30 days?
Oh.
It just seems like it.
Okay, storage trailer.
By the
and
time
it's
they
gonna-
build,
they're
get it-
going
get
to
'em out of
complete
there.
construction.
No.
What are you saying? Complete construction within 6 months.
You know, winter's coming. I'm thinking the construction should be a year.
A year.
Within
Yeah.
1 year.
Alright.
They get done early, they're heroes.
Within 1 year,
Fine.
and within
Thanks.
45 days of CO for new construction, the storage trailers will be removed.
Correct.
Okay.
Storage trailer, there's only singular. There's only one.
Got it.
All right.
Any questions from the board for Father Eugenius?
Will there be power and electric run to this trailer?
There's power and electric back at the current site right now to distribute throughout the complex back there, exterior use,
Right.
outlets and stuff. So that will remain there at that. We'll have lighting in it and so on and so forth. Correct.
I guess I just have a question about, is there anything that we need to do just to encourage the issue of the detention basin?
And Mr. Malta, if you would, I didn't take your time reading my letter because it's been out there a while, but what I really wanted that basin done by April 30th.
Can we make that a condition of the?
Well, we're going to have our engineer just touch on the basin issue.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, so you have another witness?
Yes, we have
Okay,
another
I'll
witness.
wait
It should
till
be a
then.
condition,
I'll wait
yeah.
till then.
It'll
That
be
would be
brief,
the
but
site plan.
that'll be the engineer with the drainage.
No, site
Okay, this will be the conditional use.
Any other questions for Father Eugenius?
When they remove it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Okay.
Okay, next this is Andrew Comey.
Comey, please state your name and address.
Andrew R. Comey, C-O-M-I. I'm with Kennedy Consulting Engineers, 211 Maple Avenue, Red Bank, New Jersey.
Have you ever testified before this board?
Only before the Ocean Township Planning Board, never before Zoning Board.
Okay, we'll accept that. Please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay. Remember, if you're going to get up there, you have to use the mic.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Comey, why don't you indicate to the board the use of the area that you have. Let me see which one you want to start with. Okay. So, given the plan for the detention basin, you've heard Mr. Fitzgerald's concern. I know your firm's been working hand in glove with Mr. Fitzgerald for quite some time now. So just go through the changes to the site and how it will look when it's finished.
Yes, so this exhibit is a colorized version of the submitted landscaping plan, sheet 5 of 10 of our site plan set.
You want to mark that, Rachel?
I'll mark that A1. I'll mark this A1, but do you want to mark the whole set of plans in as well, just for fun?
Yeah, we can. Part of the record, part of your filing. We can mark them as A2, the
Yeah,
entire
I'll mark
set.
the full set revised through 3/8/18. Does that make sense?
That's correct.
A2.
That's 10 pages.
Yes, 10 pages.
That's correct. So Exhibit A1 is sheet 5 of 10, the landscaping plan, and it's a colorized version of that plan. So focusing on the stormwater basin changes, first, the basin which today does not function properly, we intend to fix that by converting the originally designed infiltration basin into a dry detention basin. We propose that this basin will have a sodded or landscaped lawn basin bottom, and some other features are more of the aesthetic nature. We're proposing a modular block retaining wall around the perimeter of the wall, along with some other landscaping, proposed deciduous trees, shrubs, and other grasses. To the eastern portion of the detention basin, we're proposing a tiered seating area, which would allow access to the bottom of the basin, and as Mr. Hirsch pointed out, to use as a recreation facility. Of course, after a rainfall event, during and immediately after a rainfall event, the basin will have water until it is slowly released into the downstream system. Some other features that are proposed are, again, aesthetic in nature. There's some seating at the bottom of the basin, which is comprised of gabion baskets with some wood surfacing on top, and some other aesthetic seating features for use during the dry times. Moving on to the next proposed feature is the storage building. As pointed out, it will match the existing look of the existing gymnasium across the parking area from that building. The building is 5 feet from the property line, which, as Mr. Higgins pointed out, will require a variance. But also, as pointed out, due to the existing wooded buffer between the building and the Route 18 on-ramp to the west of this building, there's roughly a 20-foot vertical change between the Route 18 ramp and the building location. So combined, the wooded buffer and that vertical change will help to sufficiently screen that building from the perimeter of the site. Due to the building location, we are going to require relocation of the existing trash enclosure to the northern part of the parking area and to the northeast of the detention basin, as shown on this exhibit in this yellow coloring.
And you're gonna enclose that, correct?
Correct. It will be enclosed as the existing trash enclosure is enclosed today with fencing.
Got it.
And a double gate. That's essentially the proposed changes, unless anyone has any questions.
Can the truck can get in there for the trash enclosure easy?
Yes.
No problem.
Yes, it's aligned intentionally with the two-way access at the rear of the building.
Okay.
So I guess the question I have is how realistically, how quickly would it be feasible to get that started and completed? Once assuming there's approval.
The detention basin.
Right, that component of it, because
There's-
that's obviously
There's no
a priority.
restriction as far, I understand there was a date of April 2019 that was recommended. I see no reason why I couldn't start.
We can extend it on a administrative basis if we have unusually bad weather or something. But I mean, typically the fall is this year's not the driest year ever, but the fall is the driest time of the year to do this. So this is a really good time to get started. And they don't need to perfect the conditions of the approval regarding those improvements to fix the function of the basin.
Good.
So, I'm missing something here.
Got it.
If we approve the minor site plan, is the entire minor site plan to be done by 4:30? 19?
It doesn't matter to me. I only want the basin fixed.
But the basin
minor
goes
site-
back to is the configuration of the basin changing?
The configuration isn't changing much. It's the actual function. It's not going to be an infiltration basin anymore. It's going to totally empty, but it's going to have mitigation affected by an outlet control structure. But for the most part, they're going to add improvements to the basin. But they don't have a time frame in my mind. That's
We're talking about the benches,
right.
and
That's
the
for their
landscaping and everything.
recreational. But
So they have to make.
Right, because that goes with the site plan. Correct. And I'm with that.
Right, but you want as a condition of this approval, the current
Basin function be restored
Basin.
by April 30th. Stormwater management function.
Okay.
You can put in other things thereafter anyway. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the seating, if you will, and, the seating,
Yeah, I don't-
the seating.
right,
and
that
the
would be a
seating,
year along with the building.
there's no time constraints for anybody on that. That's just for the benefit of the church when and if they want to start using it for recreational facility.
Well, you're going to phase that. You're going to take that out away from the building, though, because typically when a site plan, if you go for a CO for a building, the site plan's got to be done.
Well, that's why I'm pointing out. I don't know that the two really have to be tied in. We'll do whatever, but I mean, whether we put that in at the same time we complete the building,
What do you want?
they're not related in any way to each other. Is my point. It's not a site plan like that
I want to do it at the same time.
that requires buffering or something along that line.
so
it's
can-
unrelated to the.
Can we do it
hearing
all at the
from
same time?
That they would like to do it at the same time, which is
1
fine.
year is
So they
fine
have a
for
year.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean that's fine.
If there's an issue, we can always address it, but it's not it's not an unreasonable time frame.
That's
Yeah.
everything is 1 year because it's based upon removal of storage trailers.
Yep.
But you want the
Basin function.
functioning as a stormwater
April 30.
management facility no later than 4:30. Okay, and with your final approval by you.
Right.
About it.
Right.
In the site plan.
And if there's some,
It's also a condition of the conditional use. Basically, it's a condition in both.
Right.
extraordinary circumstance,
Right, we
we'll
can-
Apply.
we'll be in touch with Mr. Fitzgerald and the board that we had 2 months of rain or something.
Okay.
Other than something like that, 4:30 is the deadline.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you.
That's the only other witness I have, Mr. Chairman, so we'll rest our case with that.
Anyone from the public to be heard? Motion to close the public hearing?
Make a
I-
motion.
Second.
Rachel, please call the roll.
Which are we voting on first?
Closing.
We're closing the
Closing
public
of the
hearing
public
first.
hearing.
You're right, sorry. Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Maheen?
Yes.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Shepard?
Yes.
And Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so let's vote on the, Mark, let's vote on the D variance first.
Okay, the D variance is, in order to have a house of worship, it requires a certain front yard setback.
Right.
They don't meet that condition of our conditional use, it becomes a D variance, which is 5 affirmatives, but there's only 6 people here.
We understand
You
that.
want to proceed? I forgot to tell you that. So that's, the first thing you would vote on is a conditional use variance to permit the church to be there with the deficient front yard setback.
I'll offer that.
I'll
Second.
second.
Rachel, please call the roll.
With some conditions, before, the conditions that we discussed.
Right.
Is that the building has to be in place within 1 year.
Correct.
And within 45 days of the CO for that building, they have to remove the storage trailer, singular, right, on the building.
Rachel?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
Mr. Manal?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
And Mr. Worrell?
Yes.
Now we're gonna,
Now we're moving to approve the minor site plan, which changes some of the layout of the property. Obviously, it shows the new storage facility, it moves
Right.
the trash enclosure, and it provides for amenities and change of the detention, it's no longer a detention basin, is it? It's something else now, right?
Oh, it is. It's not an infiltration basin
Okay.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's a stormwater management basin, make it easy.
Stormwater management basement. Basin, all changes on the site plan.
Yeah.
One of the conditions, stormwater management basin. One of the conditions is that the actual basin, not the amenities, be functional no later than 4/30/18, and that, of course, everything that they've applied for on the site on the minor site plan be completed 1 year again for the rest.
I'll offer that.
Second.
Rachel, please call the roll.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
Mr. Manal?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
And Mr. Worrell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Please
Chairman.
see-
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Careful.
There is no.
Oh, not because of the height.
Okay, we don't need the height, and the bulk becomes the D
Yeah.
because it's a higher standard of a vote. You need 5 affirmatives as opposed to a majority, so it bumps up
That is
the
the set.
bulk to a D.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, so
Thank
we-
you.
We don't need.
Please call Rachel tomorrow for further instruction. Thank you. Case 2, Laura Giuliano, DBA Sugar Paws Dog Training LLC, Block 1.05, Lot 6, Cobblestone Village, 841, West Park Avenue, Ocean, Zone C2. This is an application for a use variance to allow a dog training facility in an existing shopping center. Attorney for the applicant, Sean F. Burns, Esquire. Good evening, Mr.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Actually, my name is Dan O'Hearn. My partner, Sean Burns, was out on vacation this week, so I'm filling in on behalf. Our firm's name is Burns, O'Hearn, and Ugal. But good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Well, before we commence, you need 5 affirmative votes.
I know, we
You
understand that.
We have 6 members of the board.
We're prepared to proceed.
Thank
Yep,
you.
thank you for that.
Okay. Rachel, please mark the packet first.
B1.
Okay. Jim?
Okay, sure. I'll read the report. As the applicant is proposing to conduct a dog training business in a 1,000 square foot space in the existing shopping center, which is Cobblestone Village. The space is located adjacent to the Babur Gardens, which now is going to be Otto's in the future because Babur Gardens isn't there anymore. Restaurant and in the northeast corner of the shopping center. The dog training facility is not a permitted use in the C2 zone, and a D1 variance is necessary. The applicant has submitted a detail of the operation of the use, which includes hours of operation 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday and 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Puppy training for 8 to 20-week-old, 4 to 6 dogs at a time. Advanced training for dogs up to 7 months. Private one-on-one training for dogs of all ages. Training and testing for Canine Good Citizen certification. Training for therapy dog certification. While the use is not a permitted use in the zone, it is a service use that is not dissimilar to other permitted uses in the zone. The primary concern with the application is that it is a dog training facility that deals with very young dogs, many of which urinate and defecate more frequently than older dogs, and many of which are not fully housebroken. The applicant needs to describe in detail how these issues will be dealt with, while a letter from the applicant's attorney states that dog droppings will be picked up by the applicant and a doggy bag dispenser will be provided. This does not address the issue of dog urination inside or outside the building, or the occasional issue of diarrhea, which is much more difficult to clean up than a hard stool. These issues need to be discussed by the applicant to the satisfaction of the board. If the applicant can address these issues, I have no significant concerns with the application. The use is a beneficial use, and the therapy dog training is especially beneficial.
Tell me where this is again in Cobblestone.
This is a Cobblestone,
At the corner
The
by
corner.
Piccolo Italia
Yeah.
and right in the back corner.
in the back corner between
Yeah.
Piccolo Italia and where Babur Gardens was, and now it's going to be Otto.
Is there
Between 2 restaurants.
backdoor access there?
Yes.
Is there a place for dogs to go to the bathroom?
Well, let me talk to that one. I have a July 17th letter. We tried to make some suggestions.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I have 2 reports in the packet. The first one was July 17th. And I'm not going to read every word here, but in number 2 on page 1 of that letter, which is right behind Jim's July 17th letter, I let out some issues, A through F, and the typical ones, you know, when is it, what is it, how is it going to work, etc. Item F had to do with the concern that Jim raised in some detail. But I had 2 concerns that I wanted to talk about real briefly. Parking. This is a pretty busy area in the evening. And as I read their quote, it said training would take place in the evenings, which is telling me that's going to be their peak demand period for parking. Parking's already an issue in there, and now Otto's is coming next door to them on the other side. So you have Piccolo Italia, this place, and Otto's. So there is some parking in the back which really doesn't get used, and I suggested they're not a drive-by operation where someone's driving by in a car with a dog and say, hey, I want to take my dog in and be trained. You kind of know you're going there. So if you had dedicated parking stalls that you almost reserved for this, and they had a door right there which they do and could use that, it might function a lot better. There's also a small yard area right there that could be fenced, much like what was done for children over at
Orchard Plaza.
Orchard Plaza. That was for play. This could be for taking the dog out occasionally. I think the issue with regard to the cleanup, especially in the area of restaurants, I think the word that the Environmental Commission used in their report, which is also in the packet, is not how it's going to be cleaned up, how it's going to be sanitized. Because just picking up and leaving some residue behind does not sanitize it. And that's a big problem, in my mind anyway. It's a problem in a lot of different areas. It's a problem with contractors who work in sewers and don't properly sanitize them before they go in and do their work. It's no different, okay? So that's the issue. And that's not a practical thing to fix. But if it was restricted so that it was an area that people generally didn't walk across on their way to a restaurant, it certainly would be less of a concern. Having said that, it seemed the response that came back, as I outlined briefly in my August 14th letter, is that they really didn't want to take much of those recommendations and employ them. So it's their case.
I'm going to call Laura Giuliano to hopefully address, and just for the record, as part of, I think the professionals made reference, there was an updated narrative that was submitted, and as part attached to that was a pet wet waste cleanup procedures, which address some of those issues that were just addressed. So, and I can have Ms. Giuliano address that. And
by the way, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt. By the way, I don't mean to think that or imply that I don't think that this use is appropriate in this center. I think it's fine in the center. It's a great use for the center. I'm not sure about the location.
Okay. So we're going to call as the first witness Laura Giuliano, who is the applicant is Sugar Paws LLC, and she's the owner of that business. So we'll call her as the witness.
Please state your name and address.
Laura Giuliano, 607 Bound Road, Ocean, New Jersey.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, Laura. Laura, just you're a dog trainer, correct?
I'm a certified dog trainer.
Okay.
Correct.
How long have you been a dog trainer?
I've been certified for the past 3 years. This industry is not regulated, so you don't need to be certified. But I did choose to become certified so I can legitimately charge my clients and give them the best experience they could have with my knowledge.
Okay. And what does that entail, becoming certified? You could just give the board a little detail on that.
There's so many different ways, but I chose to go through a basic course just to get the certification, which was detailed. It was 2 years. It was intense, but I'm now enrolled in another course, which is very intense. It's kind of the Ivy League of dog trainers. It's the Academy for Dog Trainers. So I'm very proud to be in that program and offer that to the community.
And when will you complete that training?
Within the next 6 months, I'll be finished with that.
Just for the are there different types of dog training methods that are utilized by trainers?
There are.
Okay,
there
if
are.
you could explain that.
There are two different beliefs of dog training. One is very much an old school way of dog training, which entails a lot of force and pain and intimidation, coercion, fear to train your dogs, which that is not my. I missed that. Which is not my bias. My bias is in science, and science proves that you do not need to use those methods to train. We should give dogs a choice when they are learning. And avoid any aggressive behaviors as a fallout from aversive training.
And now, Sugar Paws LLC is your business, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and when was that formed?
That was formed about 2 years ago.
Okay, and are you the only owner, or are there any other owners?
I'm the owner along with my husband, officially.
But does your husband really have any involvement in the business?
Not too much.
Is Sugar Paws presently operating at any locations?
I am. I'm currently offering puppy training classes at Golden Paws Boutique, which is a grooming facility in Oceanport. I rent out a little bit of space from them when they have it available to run some puppy classes, and then I also do in-home training, so I'm kind of all over the place.
And what is it about the Cobblestone Village location that you like for this business?
I grew up in West Long Branch, and now I am a resident of Ocean Township. So Cobblestone Village has been a shopping center that I've frequented since I could ride my bike there, and then as an adult visiting a lot of their stores. I love the location of Cobblestone for the local community. Everybody knows where it is, whether you live in Ocean, Eatontown, West Long Branch, South Tinton Falls, everyone knows where it is. So it's very centrally located for our community and our neighboring communities.
And do you have a lease? Does Sugar Paw have a lease?
I do.
Okay. And how long is that lease?
The lease will be 5 years.
And could you just, if you were the board were to grant this application, you were to open your business, just a brief description of what the interior of the space will look like.
Sure. It's about 1,000 square foot space. So the majority of that, I don't have the exact square footage of which part will be training, but it'll be an open floor for training because there will be puppies running around there playing and learning. I will have a little bit of, I think the existing bathroom we're going to leave. I believe that's in the back rear corner. And then a small office and a very small storage closet. It's only 1,000 square feet.
And at the present time, will you have any other employees other than you?
Only myself. It's very difficult to find trainers who have the certification that I've chosen to get, so I'm very particular with that.
And you have a general sense of where your clients will come from that would utilize your business?
Sure. I'm hoping a lot come right from Ocean Township. I'd love to be able to service the community, but I would imagine from Shrewsbury south, there isn't too much of this training available, so it would be a resource for everyone locally.
And what do you see as having done this for a while, the benefits and the value of dog training?
Sure. So as I stated earlier, training your dog with positive reinforcement, evidence-based training really helps any type of aggression in the future. When you start training your puppy early during their critical development period, which is between 8 and 24 weeks, you really get a solid foundation for your puppy. It's human training. So I train you to train your puppy, and then you know what to do going forward. If you don't take advantage of this training, you have a big chance of possibly having an aggressive, a fearful, or maybe even a dangerous dog running in the community.
So you heard some of the board professionals, they briefly summarized the hours of operation, the nature of the business. If you could just elaborate on that a little bit, how this business is going to operate, what's it going to look like from an operational standpoint once you get up and running?
Sure. When I get up and running, I don't expect to be filling the hours that I quoted in my responses. Ultimately, I would love for those to be my hours, but to start off with, I may not only be able to fill up 2 or 3 classes a week. So whether that class runs from 6:30 to 7:30 during the week, I won't be doing classes Friday night. I don't think that's a bit much.
Do the owners of the dogs come?
They stay.
Okay, they stay with the dogs.
They stay.
Okay, so if you do 4, how many dogs can you do at once?
Maximum 6, but I typically take in 4.
Okay, so you're talking about 6 parking spaces.
That would be a stretch.
And yours. Okay.
And not and the training, correct, is Saturday nights no training, correct?
No, Friday and Saturday nights there will be no group training at all. This would be Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
And then Saturday and Sunday mornings.
Okay, and Friday, what time would you close on
By
Friday?
4 o'clock.
Okay. Because there, I have two concerns. One is the sanitation of the excrement. Okay, that's my big concern. The other concern is parking on. You're in the middle of two restaurants, one here and one to your north, one to your east, and those restaurants get crowded on the weekend,
Sure.
especially at night. So that's a concern. I would like you to consider what Bill said about parking stalls that would be designated for you. Okay, so if you need six, you need six around the back. Bill,
Yeah.
you think?
I mean, well, they don't seem to want to do that, but I'm sure we could help them accommodate that because it would really function well for you. You could reserve them. Then no one would ever have an issue.
So nobody else will park in those
Get mad
spots.
at
You're in
you
the back.
and you don't have to worry about them.
It's only if you said you do a maximum of. You need probably a maximum of six. So you reserve them in the back, and they can enter and exit.
Okay. But hopefully her business may grow. Okay, so she may have a 6:30 session and a 7:30 session. So there's going to be some overlap. So I don't know how many spaces are back there, plus her own space.
If you look in the packet, about the fourth sheet back, or the back of the third sheet, it's got a layout, and it kind of indicates where she is. If you look at this layout, it's the upper right on the diagonal, or the lower right on the diagonal, I'm sorry. And you'll see that there's a whole lot of spaces that head in toward the rear of this building. Mm-hmm. They're actually put in there just like any other space in the center. It's just that the geometry of the center, but they don't get used very much. So it would seem that almost any number of spaces that this operation needs could be reserved back there without impacting anybody, and it just ensures that she can do what she needs to do and grow, and it doesn't interfere or be interfered with. To me, it makes a lot of sense, but I'm not trying to force you. I think it's a great thing for this center.
No, we understand what you're saying. The only and
I want you to succeed.
No,
Yeah,
we appreciate that. And the only thing with and the planner will speak a little bit to this, and I think Ms. Juliana can speak to it. The back is not. It's not as well lit. She will have people there at night sometimes because it's 6:30. It's not as well lit. It's. I mean, they have pictures of it. It isn't as nice an area. So that was just part of. She has a service business. I do understand your position that it's not like somebody's driving by
Right.
and driving in. They know, but I think from a convenience standpoint, and also one of the concerns we had is that it might have some suggestion that there's some issue with this business. Why do you have to go and park around back and walk through a back door? That was just some kind of perception issue. But we hear what you're saying, and if the board is concerned and thinks that's the best approach, we'll do what whatever's necessary to address the board. But that's why there wasn't. I don't want to think we're rejecting your ideas out of hand. It's just we had some concerns about.
But it just looked to me, I looked at your floor layout, and it looked to me like if you rotated 180 degrees and just maybe the landlord would be willing to do a couple of improvements, like a couple of building mounted, we don't need to plant light poles all over the place, but that's expensive, but a couple of building mounted lights, could even be LEDs, just to light the sidewalks, make it really nice, a couple of potted grasses or plant. I mean, you could really inexpensively make the back look like you want it to look. It'd be yours.
Yes. Right.
That was my thought. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, and just one other comment. While I agree that the back isn't as well lit as the front, my daughter and her family go to Ganguli's, which is in another little short distance away from there. And a lot of the customers there actually, including my daughter, park in the back spaces because they prefer to park back there rather than park in the front parking lot, which is very often congested. And so it's not that bad an area to park.
Yeah. Okay. They don't like dents on their cars. They're smart.
That's true.
That's right.
Yep.
Now you also got the issue of walking a small dog through a parking lot if the weather's bad and the restaurants are a little bit busy, or maybe a day. You got to walk that little puppy all the way through that. This is like you're right there. Maybe we can get you reserved spaces back there.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And the only other concern I have is how you're going to sanitize.
Sure.
I guess, and just if the board's inclination, and then my clients is inclined to put the parking in the back. I guess a lot of the sanitation issues in terms of the front area
Well, it's a little less intense, certainly.
goes away. But I'll let Ms. Giuliano explain that issues. Hopefully, she can address that. with the board.
Yeah, of course, the last thing we would ever want is somebody stepping in something, having a problem, and having that come back to us, because that's what it's going to come back to, and I don't want that problem. I have been working under a very successful business in Red Bank for the past 3 years, and he's been there for 15, and I did ask him if there's been problems, and if there have, what he's done. And what he does is bi-weekly, he goes out and he uses a product called Rescue. It's used in veterinary hospitals. It kills anything and everything that can come from a dog. The Rescue goes into a handheld sprayer. It's a pressurized water pump. It's diluted to the right amounts, and also using a professional, like a deck scrub brush, to get anything out of the little surfaces. So that sanitizes and it picks up any excess pieces that may have been left behind.
Bi-weekly meaning every 2 weeks?
Twice a week.
Or
Twice a
twice?
week.
Twice a week.
Twice a week.
Semi-weekly?
2 times per week.
We certainly could agree.
I'm
with
not
you
an
more.
expert. I can't tell you. I mean, to me, that just is the single.
Right.
First of all, by isolating it in the back, if the back can possibly work, it does isolate it a bit,
Right.
and certainly away from the restaurants.
Right.
Okay, but
Well,
I'm not the expert on that.
Neither am I. I mean, if you use a chemical, though,
Use the chemical often enough, it'll work fine.
And it's
That's my
it's
point.
twice
I
a
just don't
week,
know what
you know.
bi-weekly is the answer. Or once a day. I don't
and
know.
I'm not sure that. I'm really not sure that every dog that goes there is going to go to the bathroom.
That's a good
Exactly.
point.
I just
Right.
don't know.
I don't
No.
disagree with you one ounce.
Right.
So
I guess my question is, so are the dogs going to be walked, or is it concerned that just on the way in they may have an accident, or I'm not sure.
Well, that's probably the main concern, right? Is on because they come in, they get trained, they go home generally.
But when they come
That's the
in,
bulk.
That's correct. My clients are instructed to bring their dog on leash into the facility from their car and back out to their car. So there's very little time that it's an hour class of indoor training. So there's really no time to be walked outside. They're instructed to potty their dogs before they come into the space. And we're talking about young puppies, and when we talk about them not being trained, the reality of that is they're not going to the bathroom outside because they're not trained. They're going to the bathroom inside, which is my problem, to clean up on the mats.
I'm not buying that. Well, still, for the occasional mistake, we got to have
it's
a
just
decent
it.
system.
Right.
That-
Yeah.
I
I
think,
was
I
just
think
trying to
that's
get a
workable.
sense of like how common that might be.
Very rare.
And the other point, just apropos of that, is I would assume, and Ms. Giuliani can speak to that, people who are going to the lengths to have their dog trained, I would suspect would be pretty disciplined with their dogs. I mean, having owned a dog myself, I know how careful I am, and when we're walking the dog, picking up and cleaning, I think these people, because they want their dogs to be trained, are going to be probably as disciplined as anybody in terms of making sure that their dogs, for example, before they leave the house, these people, and I get it, they're puppies, and puppies are a different animal, pardon the pun, but I think this is the type of clientele that are going to be, with Ms. Giuliano's good guidance, are going to be pretty disciplined about how they go about that. So,
Okay.
Could I just ask one or two more questions? I don't want you to get boxed in. What your original statement said is you'll be the only trainer. The testimony a little while ago was you'll be the only employee. Is that really what you want? You won't have an assistant? You won't be able to?
Well, I may.
that's just right
I understand, but I mean,
If I do have an assistant, it's not a
Or two.
paid employee. It's not anything like that. It's a student who's mentoring under me, and that will only happen on occasion. I can't guarantee when that will or won't happen.
Forever?
She actually, pardon?
wherever.
As my business grows, I had stated somewhere that as my business grows, of
Right.
course, I do hope to hire another trainer, but
Yeah.
that's not anywhere in the immediate future.
No, but I mean, I just don't want their testimony so restrictive that you have an issue.
Oh,
That's what I'm going at.
no, I think and I appreciate the clarification. At the present time, she's going to be the only one there.
Right.
Well, it could grow like any business.
A couple of years from now, you might have to hire somebody.
And the other one, I just the occasional play group. What does that mean? Is that like doggy daycare kind of thing? Can I leave my dog there for a couple hours?
Sure. No, absolutely not. You cannot leave your dog there.
Okay, so if my dog comes to a play group, I have to stay there the whole time.
You don't have to. Here's what it is, and it was specified in my statement or my information that I responded to. The doggy play groups. These are dogs that have graduated my programs. They've gone to my puppy kindergarten or my puppy intermediate classes, and they are training to become canine good citizens, which are AKC, American Kennel Club designations, or registered therapy dogs. They have to log a certain amount of hours socializing with other dogs, not showing any aggression. So there are times where their owners will have to stay for maybe a test that they have to run through with them. There are other times they're going to be dropped off to do a socialization class. Couple hours, it just depends on the dog, and it depends on what they need, and it depends on how many puppies or other dogs that I have there at that time. But it is not a doggy daycare. It is not open to anyone dropping off their dog. They're training.
It's not just any old play group.
Absolutely not.
It's a real training session. That's usually different.
Very different.
Yeah. And the last one. Applicant will not be engaged in any retail business. I mean, why? Don't you?
I
don't
would
ever
love
want
to.
to sell anything.
There's
I
a
would love
restrictive
to.
covenant in one of the. There's another lease, so the landlord won't allow it
At this point in time.
at this point.
At this point in
yeah.
time, correct.
But that's not a condition that you want attached, kind of thing. If the landlord,
No,
if
we
the
don't. We
business
don't. We
leaves-
don't want it attached.
That's what I'm
but
trying to say.
right-
I just want to clear.
No, that's fine. But at the present time, her lease does not allow her
My
to
lease
run a
specifies
retail
it.
business.
Right,
So-
but that may go away in 3 years. In which case, you might want to sell things that are associated with what you're doing, so you wouldn't have to want to come back here. That's all I'm.
No, I
Let's be clear.
again appreciate the
Yeah.
clarification. Yes, yes. That's
If we're going to open the business,
that's where we are. That's where we are now. And but you're right. If that other business leaves and the landlord lifts that
Right.
restriction, that's a possibility. It would be something that she.
That
might,
makes sense.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Why
that's
they don't? You
permitted.
don't want to hear it again, and they don't
Right.
want to bother.
But that would be permitted. It's a retail.
Yeah,
it's permitted.
of course.
Yeah.
It's a retail center.
Yeah, okay. We're not gonna- we won't restrict that.
Questions from the board?
That's all I have for that witness, and then we just have a professional planner. I'd like to just call to address the planning issues on the use variance.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's Barbara Alon from Beacon Planning, who I understand has testified before this.
Many times.
Yeah.
Rachel, please mark that.
Let's just mark the whole board. Yep. A1 is a photo exhibit board.
Please state your
Oh,
name
I'm
and
sorry.
address first.
My name is Barbara Allen. I'm from Beacon Planning, whose address is 315 Route 34, Suite 129 in Colts Neck, New Jersey.
Raise your right hand, please. Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
My exhibit this evening is a photo board with 4 photos. In the top left corner is an aerial of the overall cobblestone village. The top right corner is a photograph depicting the center and where the proposed dog training facility will be. In the lower left-hand corner is another section of the cobblestone village, and on the bottom right is actually a photo of the rear of the property where the proposed puppy training facility will go. If I may.
I don't want to hear it. It's fine.
The subject property is located in Cobblestone Village, and I've actually put a little yellow dot so it's a little bit easier to identify where it is in the overall vicinity. It'll be located between Allstate and the Future Autos, and this is the building here. You can see it has a large bay window in the front, which I'll discuss, which becomes an important aspect in a few minutes. The lower left, or the lower right, is the rear of the building, so you can see where we're talking about it being not as well lit, maybe a little bit less inviting. And in the bottom left is another portion of the market of the Cobblestone Village. And what I wanted to point it out here is over here is the Prince and the Pauper, which is a grooming and retail. And it is also actually located near food uses, What a Bagel and the fish market over here.
Not right next door, though.
Well, the bagel place pretty much is. It's catty corner.
But there's a separation, a breezeway to walk through. The buildings aren't connected.
The buildings aren't connected, but they're right by each other.
Right, right. Yeah.
The
Go ahead.
Okay. The subject property is actually located in the C2 Highway Commercial District. And what I wanted to point out and emphasize is that this zone permits animal hospitals, veterinary hospitals, pet grooming, and pet shops. So, in theory, if I had one,
Would you repeat those uses? Animal hospital,
animal hospitals, veterinary hospitals,
not same
pet
thing?
grooming, and pet shops. I thought it was similar, but I listed them both. So, in theory, if there was a veterinary hospital, I could bring that pet pony that I always wanted over to the zone, over to the hospital, and have it checked out. So, I just wanted to bring that up.
Bigger stuff than that.
The applicant is proposing a puppy training facility, and the dogs would be brought to when the dogs are brought to the facility, she makes them come. She has to see them coming to the store. She meets them at the door, makes them sit, and then allows them access. So it's a reward to come in that they have to sit. So that's where that big bay window comes into play, because through the rear of the storefront there is no window. So there would just be random knocking that could interrupt the class. She wouldn't see anyone coming, and it would kind of be more of a guesswork. And then they wouldn't be able to do that same setup. Plus, in the front of the facility, since it doesn't have the bathroom already established and an office space, they can make a little need door. So this way, when the dogs are inside, so you enter, there's a little door, and then you go to the other side. So this way, during the class, the dogs can't run towards that front door. They're prevented from going there, so there's not the risk of escape. That same setup is not necessarily possible at the rear of the setup, at the rear of the structure, because again, the bathroom's already there. They're going to be setting up closet space and such. We are seeking a use variance in order to permit this operation. Let me back up a second. Before we get to the use variance, I just want to go through the 1990 master plan and some of the goals, which included to ensure the future development of the township provides for a stable tax base, and to ensure that the land development in the township provides a balance of land uses which will help maintain the quality of life within the township for all its current and future citizens. And when the master plan discussed the highway commercial zone, it states it is to provide a variety of commercial, retail, and service uses, as well as office uses to serve the residents of the Township of Ocean and adjacent communities. When we look to the MLUL for goals, I would say that this promotes to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use and development of all lands in the state in a manner which promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. I went to this one in particular because of dog training. We all have been by dogs that have scared us. I remember walking by a dog when I was in middle school, and it came running out from behind its fence and chased me down the block. And that is not something we want in the Township of Ocean. And so dog training is a way of socializing the dogs, making them, I know to have good citizenship, dogs have to be able to stay with a stranger. So if you need to run and you need to give your dog to someone and then leave, that dog is not going to attack that person that now has their leash because they've been trained and socialized. I would also say it's to provide sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses in open space, both public and private, according to their respective environmental requirements. Your zone envisions animal-related uses in this zone. Typically, and as I will get to this, and I'll repeat this when I talk about Medici and why this was not included in your master plan or zone ordinance, training becomes part of something else. Like she said, previously she works in a retail store. When I was living with my sister and we got a puppy, when we went to PetSmart, and that's where we got our training. Or if you went to the veterinary's office, they usually had like a trainer or someone. It's not always a standalone operation. So it's not a surprise that it wasn't separately defined. But those other uses that often offer training, such as a pet shop, such as a veterinary office, are permitted. So that leads me straight into Medici for the use variance. And so we would say that we were number 3, which in where the site is particularly suitable for the proposed use. The township envisions this zone to provide services for both locals and nearby communities, which is exactly what the applicant is proposing. The dogs, hopefully, most will come from Ocean, but they will draw from other communities. And so it is a service for everyone. It is located in an area that envisions animal uses, and it envisions them and permits them in the same places where restaurants are permitted, where retail sales, where everything else. So when the ordinance was designed, there was they didn't think of any conflict necessarily between these uses. So yes, so when we think of these, other more intense uses are permitted. There's veterinary offices, there's animal hospitals, I guess, which are the same thing. I'm going to say veterinary offices. The space proposed is well located, easy access for both community members and those from around the area. The space is large enough where dogs can be trained for such that can play, as she said, playing training, as well as such items as come. You know, you can't be right next to your dog and use that command. It has to have some distance, but it's not so large as to present like an intrusion. She's talked about the mitigating factors or any nuisance factors, which she's proposing beyond what would be required of a use that's permitted. A grooming office would have the same issues. A veterinary office would have the same issues as this proposed training facility. But they would not be required to come before this board. With respect to the proposed parking, I'm not in disagreement with the dedicated spaces, though I will note that clients usually choose to park where they may. We might say there's dedicated parking, but that doesn't preclude someone from parking somewhere in the front. And it is a shopping center. I mean, it's supposed to have shared parking. And I do understand the engineer's concern regarding entrance, but as I said, the bay window plays an important part in that, and it is a business that requires you do have to be able to identify it, and people who are first coming will not know that, so they will probably still come to the front door anyway, even if she did have a rear door entrance. So in that matter, I believe that the application is directly on point with the township's master plan and zone ordinances. I think it was only excluded because it's typically part of another pet-oriented operation, and I don't see any negative detriments to the community.
Any questions? Thank you.
One question. So your testimony is if this was going to be a veterinary hospital, the owner would never come here, and there would never be a conversation about where the dog's going to defecate, urinate before entering the building.
Yes. And the use that she's proposing is much less intense. If you thought of an animal hospital, how many vets they have, or how many animals come in and out in an hour.
I just wanted to say too that after your testimony, I mean, I'm inclined to agree that I think that I have to disagree with our professionals that I think that this is a burden to your business by putting the parking spaces in the rear, and I would like, my fellow board members to consider, maybe rescinding that, if we do move to approve this application. I actually have more concerns now because it sounds like no matter what happens, dogs are coming in through the front. This place is situated in between two restaurants, and if there's any chance, even if it's once a week, that a dog is going to be having an accident right there in front, where people are about to go in and have a meal, I think that's going to have a tremendous negative impact on the restaurants. I mean, that's my perception right now, unless somebody can dispel that in some way. And I have a real problem with that whole idea of, because again, we're not talking about trained dogs, we're talking about puppies who could have an accident at any time on the way in or out.
But in no way do you actually have to traverse in front of this use to get to the restaurant uses.
Well, I disagree, because the reality is, I mean, I frequented one of these restaurants, pretty often, and the parking right there, because there were two restaurants, is very tight at meal times, which is when the bulk. It sounds like a lot of the larger classes are going to be in the evening. A lot of times you can't park right in front of the restaurant, so. And it sounds like, if it's going to start at 6:30, it sounds like the pet owners are going to get there before the rush. But when they're on the way out, the diners are going to be on their way in, and they're going to be crisscrossing their paths. That's what I see there.
But the only thing that I appreciate those comments. Well, first, and remember, it's not going to be on Friday and Saturday night. So you're talking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I always went there during the week.
No, I understand. I'm not saying people never go out to, but the intensity probably of the parking will not be as great as it would be on the weekend. The other thing, landlords do what they have to do to get tenants in, but this landlord, I would think if he's got two good restaurant tenants there and they start having problems with dog droppings, that's going to create a real problem for him. So I think there would be a lot of self-enforcement on his part, and I also think he would be very hesitant to let this use come in there for the reasons that you say, if he thought it was really going to be a problem. I'm not familiar with what the occupancy rates there and issues like that, but I hear what you're saying. If you have two restaurants next to each other and you had that concern, I don't know if I was a landlord, if as you say was a problem and would come to fruition, I don't know that I would allow that. And I think my sense is this landlord, if it becomes a problem, he's going to start enforcing that, because if it's creating problems for his other tenants, she's going to hear about it. So that's the only point I like to make in that regard.
Just two comments there.
If I could just have a moment. So you said that there wouldn't be business conducted on Friday evenings and
no.
Okay, would your client be agreeable to could we limit Friday and Saturday evening? That seems like the peak.
Absolutely, that's her business. Her testimony is she will not do the puppy training on Friday and Saturday evenings.
She says she's closing at 4 o'clock.
Closing at 4 o'clock. So you're only talking about the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's it.
And Sunday, when do you close?
By 3 at the latest.
Okay.
No, you have to come up here.
Just trying to find maybe that we could,
You have to speak into the microphone.
I had stated for general purpose. Is this okay? Yeah. I had stated for general purposes at 3 o'clock at the latest, and that's if business gets good. Yeah, I'm planning to probably do one class, which would be 10 to 11 for now.
What we're asking is, would you be willing to have that be a condition on approval?
To what time? To closing at what time?
Would you set
4 o'clock Friday and Saturday, and 3 o'clock on Sunday?
At the latest, absolutely, I would.
But just so you understand, what they're saying, when they adopt a resolution, that's a condition. So
sure.
you can never change that. You'd have to come back to them if you wanted to change.
That would be fine, absolutely.
It's a lot like our engineer was making sure certain things weren't put in the resolution because there wouldn't need to be in.
That would be fine.
Mr. O'Hearn, we haven't touched on something else. How are we going to know this place exists? No signage?
They have a large tenant sign out on Monmouth Road.
But I know some of the buildings in the front have signs on them. The tail.
Well, right, but everything. Yeah. If you go to the restaurant next door, the sign is there, but there's no reason they can't put a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, she will be putting a sign up.
Most people are coming because they have an appointment. So,
okay.
And if you look at the map, whatever, it's not hard to find a place.
Yeah. The sign will have to comply with the ordinance.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
And whatever. They'll have the same amount of signs as anyone else is allowed.
I just wanted to bring that up because it doesn't. Nobody even mentioned the sign.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sort of understood, I guess.
Yeah.
You're right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So back on the topic of the sanitation, Jim, you look like you wanted to say something.
To just keep the record straight. I have concerns, but I'm not overly concerned. But a couple of things were put on the record here, and I just think that they have to be clarified. The attorney was saying that the landlord would have to take care of a problem if there was a problem there. But if it's not in the lease, he has nothing he can enforce.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and second,
my point was simply that my point was simply that I would think, and I can't speak for the landlord. This is opinion evidence.
Yeah,
so
I know that.
If you want.
I just wanted to. And then
I'm
the
not
second
stating
thing
that for
is,
the record.
as far as people parking and going to the restaurants and not having to go in front of the space. Unfortunately, the 2 parking spaces right in front are handicap parking spaces. So if somebody's disabled and they want to go to a restaurant, they're going to have to go right in front of the building. But like I said, I have a concern, but I'm not overly concerned.
Well, so just on continuing on that topic, because it is a concern to me, there was testimony about the cleaning product that would be used to clean up afterwards, and it's twice a week. How would that be enforced? I mean, even if we considered making that a condition, I'm not sure how we would know that that was being done, and I'm not sure how it's applied. In other words, if it's applied twice a week, I mean, is somebody marking out where these accidents are occurring? I don't know how that works even, really.
Yeah, we'll just have Miss Giuliano
Yeah,
respond
she
to
knows,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
Chairman, we're approaching like 5 minutes left in the 45.
Okay.
So this would be my business, and I have respect for myself and the community and my business. I don't want a problem with my tenant, my neighbors. I don't want a problem with my landlord. I frequent the shopping center as well, and I don't want to step in any dog excrement one way or the other. So I can give you my word that I will be taking care of this, because I should be doing that. That's part of my job and my obligation. If you prefer that I do this a little more often than twice a week, I can do that. Like I said, these are chemicals that are diluted for safety of the public, but they're also diluted to still be concentrated enough to kill anything that could be harmful or dangerous. So,
But where would it be applied?
Okay.
In other words, how do you know where to put it down, I guess?
Yeah, can I ask a question? Do you have a contract with people when they come to you? Do they sign a contract of some sort?
they do.
They do. Can you put in that contract a requirement that if their dog does go outside, they have to notify you immediately, and then you can come out and clean it up immediately?
I certainly can.
Yeah, or
I've done that in the
train
past
them
as
to
well.
Go get the spray
Yes.
bottle, and when they're cleaning
Yeah.
up, spray it.
Yeah.
Really, and it's done
We
on the
do.
spot.
That's
Yeah.
the same protocol we use
As
inside
needed.
of class, and that's the same protocol that we can use outside of
Yeah,
class.
that's the better solution, rather than doing it just twice a week and not knowing where
Are we
where
talking
if
about,
any occurrences
Right.
are
were.
we talking about both solid and liquid waste?
Yes, yes.
My clients also carry tree pouches, which contain their treats, and poop bags. There's also a doggy receptacle with additional poop bags and spray for anyone to use at any time. That's just not my clients, but if someone's walking around the development with their dogs, which they do often, they're welcome to use that as well.
Okay. Any other questions?
Trying to see if there's anybody from the public to, if we can get this done tonight.
Anyone from the public to be heard? That's good.
Make a motion to close the public.
Second.
Rachel, please call the roll.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
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 Mr. Morale?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to offer a positive resolution. I'm still not sure about this parking, though.
Take a straw vote to see who would be willing to approve it without restriction.
Sure, we could do that. What's your feeling about that?
I would be happy to approve it without a restriction.
Me too.
Well,
Agreed.
I would agree with that.
parking restriction.
Parking restriction.
There are
Parking
other,
restrictions.
other conditions
Yeah, yeah,
that they've
yeah.
agreed to.
Yes, sir. Yep.
You know, as the cleanup, as the closing hours and all that, that would be conditions that would
Right.
remain. But you're just strictly speaking about parking.
We're just
Yes,
speaking
sir.
about the
Yep.
parking now.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just about to say, in lieu of any restriction on the parking, in line of the discussion, if we could make sure that that provision is in the contract, that any incidents occur, that you'll be notified right away and it'll be taken care of promptly.
Can we do that?
Okay, number one, we could require that she's going to sanitize at least twice a week or more often if necessary. We can phrase it that way, number one.
Okay.
Number two, we can provide that she has to provide in all of her contracts for training sessions with clients that the client has the obligation to notify her if the dogs mess outside
Okay.
prior to or following the session, and that the session. That's it. you know, she's offering to clean up
Right.
after that, but we can put that, she can supply you a copy of the contract with that in it. That would be a condition, but again, she's only, you know.
You'll do that?
That's for them to notify. Then if she goes out and cleans up, I mean,
Okay.
that's a condition, but I don't know how you enforce that.
You're going to do that with the
I'm
contract,
going to do
correct? Okay. And a condition for hours of operation.
Well, she can operate anytime she wants, but she's got to close by 4 o'clock Friday and Saturday and 3 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah.
She can open at 6 in the morning. We don't care, right?
I don't.
Right.
Yeah. 6 o'clock in the morning is fine.
Concern.
Anybody else? Okay. I'll offer that. I need a second. Rachel, please call the roll.
Yes.
Mr. Fuller,
Yes.
You know what? It's permitted.
Yes.
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 Please see Rachel tomorrow. Call Rachel tomorrow. Thank you. Next case is
Thank you for your time.
you're welcome. Next case is Scott Lewis, Block 74, Lot 3, 513 South Edgemere Drive, West Allenhurst, Zone R5. This is an application to construct a front porch addition with 2 rear additions and rear deck variances for front yard setback under minimum, side yard setback under minimum, and building coverage over maximum. Attorney for the applicant, Peter Falvo.
Which one is this?
I wish this business was around when I had my dog.
I gotta stand up for a minute.
I always used to like to defecate. Used to like to defecate in my car right after I had it cleaned. My wife said he was trying to tell me something.
Okay, 2 more.
Okay.
All right, you were wrong here. I was. I'm glad you don't watch that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Peter Falvo, pitch hitting for Jennifer Krimko, who's recovering from a little minor surgery. I'd like to call, this is a,
Rachel, mark the packet, please.
right,
market B1.
right.
Okay.
Repeat it in big one. Did they
Shall we hear from the professionals?
report it?
Yes, we're gonna hear from our professionals first.
Is the packet?
Again, I think it'd be quicker if I just read this. The applicant proposes to expand an existing residence by constructing a 222 square foot 2-story addition on the north side of the building and a 144 square foot 2-story addition on the south side of the building. A 194 square foot deck will also be constructed on the north side of the building. The site is a 4,417 square foot lot, 25 feet wide and 171 feet deep, and is occupied by a single family residence with no off-street parking. It's also a through lot, which I forgot to mention in here. The front of the residence faces South Edgemere Drive.
Oh, I know.
Bulk variances are necessary for the minimum lot area. 7,500 square feet is required, and 4,417 square feet exists. 75 feet width is required, and 25 feet exists. So it's basically a third of the width that's required. Minimum front yard setback, 30 feet is required, and 24.8 feet is proposed to the rear deck. The minimum side setback, 3.75 feet is required, 0.01 feet exists on the west side, but the proposed additions on that side comply. 2.43 feet exists on the east side. The north addition and the deck will extend this non-conformity for a distance of 22.5 feet. The southern addition complies. Minimum both side setbacks, 7.5 feet is required, 2.43 feet exists, and 6.43 feet is proposed to the north addition. Maximum building coverage, 35% is required, or permitted. 37.98 of the buildable lot area is proposed. Minimum off-street parking, 2 spaces required, none exist or are proposed. With regard to the existing bulk variances for lot area, lot width, and side setback, there's no reasonable way to improve these conditions. With regard to the newer expanded bulk variances, the very narrow width of the lot and the significant undersized nature of the lot present a practical and undue hardship. With regard to the existing variance condition for the number of parking spaces, it would be possible to provide 2 spaces, 9 foot by 18 foot on either street frontage. To do so would require a minor variance for location of a driveway less than 5 feet from the property line, 4 feet on each side. If provided on the Beechwood Avenue frontage, the spaces would be 7 feet from the proposed deck and very close to an existing swimming pool on adjacent lot 2. If provided on the South Edgemere Drive frontage, it would likely be the result in the removal of 2 existing trees and possibly change the streetscape. this should be discussed with the board at the hearing. And the another possibility is one parking space on each street frontage, if you feel it's necessary to have parking.
I have a report in here dated yesterday, or I'm sorry, 18th. I only have two concerns. One of them is the parking. Okay, this is a narrow lot in an area where there's insufficient parking, and it's an area that's undergoing a bit of a redevelopment. Your next application's fronting on Beechwood Avenue, wants to do the same thing, make a house bigger but no parking essentially. It's fine with me as long as you guys understand that the ordinance requires parking, and the bigger the houses get, typically the more you need. When you see a two-story addition, you're typically talking about at least one more bedroom somewhere. Maybe not, but it just seems to me that at some point you're going to have a problem if the trend were to continue and nobody's ever required to put in parking for the ordinance. Having said that, the only other issue I have, and I don't have any problem with them expanding the house, but the ground is dead flat. And we still don't have a way to address where the water's going. And the comment didn't arise 2 days ago, it arose 2 months ago. I don't have a problem with the addition and the extra impervious cover. The lake is tidal. It's not going to make a difference in the lake elevation kind of a thing. I don't need stormwater mitigation. We need to know where the water's going. The ground is dead flat. And we have no grading plan that works in front of it.
So it's either got to go out
I don't know where it's going to go
toward
right now.
South Edgemere or toward.
It's got to be made to. The ground does not typically flow very well.
Okay. Flat there. Yeah, I know where it is. It's nice there.
So yeah, it's fine area. No one. I have no objection to the concept of expanding the residence.
Right.
I need to know where the water's going. If you want, and you guys got to think through the parking.
Okay. Peter, you're up.
I don't want to stand up again. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you replaced Maureen with another woman. It breaks the monotony of the board.
She's
in
been
any event,
You've testified before.
in any event, I'd like to mark as A1 in evidence a plot plan 513 Edgemere Drive, Block 74, Lot 3, consisting of one sheet prepared by David Besh of Nelson Engineering, dated April 12th, 2018. That would be A1.
And that's what I just passed off them, right? That's
Right,
the
correct.
copy?
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Dave, I believe you've got a mounted version. Yes. We'll mark that as A2, which is a mounted version of A1 in evidence. And it's also a copy of what was submitted to the board.
This is the
A3, I'd like to mark the plans prepared by architect James N. Polifrone, dated July 26th, 2017, consisting of 12 sheets. And that'll be A3 in evidence.
You don't want to? Oh, yeah, 2 trees go.
Right.
If they put it here, only one tree would go. If they put it right there, just no trees.
Maybe do a tandem.
Put it in between them, no trees though.
That's true.
We got to do something. I mean, same thing with the second.
Okay, that's a color version, right? That's just the color version of A3.
No, I'm marking this on A3, okay?
That's fine.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying, I only have one plan, so I'm gonna pass this around. It was too big to print your packets. I'm just looking at it.
That's the architectural.
No problem.
I'd like to call Mr. Besh to the stand, please.
Okay.
Just one other thing for the record. Bill, you mentioned in your report a survey. The survey was submitted with the package back on August 8th, 2017.
The topo survey? Okay, I didn't get a copy of
No,
that.
the
Michael Williams.
Outbound survey by Michael Williams.
Yeah, the outbound survey.
Yeah.
But we never got the topo survey. That's what I asked for.
And
Okay.
I have brought along a copy
Dave,
that will
please
be.
state your name and address, please, first.
It's David Besch, BOE Nelson Engineering Associates, 1750 Bloomsbury Avenue, Ocean, New Jersey.
Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Now you can talk.
Okay. It was an omission of the submission package back in June. When going through the checklist, we saw the survey requirement, and unfortunately only the Michael Williams boundary survey was submitted, not the topographic survey prepared by Nelson Engineering Associates. Any future submissions will include that topographic survey.
All right, Mr. Besch, would you please just relate to the board what is proposed on the site and how you've accounted for it on the site?
Okay, as Jim had mentioned, the property is very unique in that it is only 25 feet wide, approximately 170 to 75 feet deep, and is a through street between South Edgemere Drive to the south and Beechwood Avenue to the north. The existing building itself is currently set back about 77 feet from the South Edgemere Drive northern right-of-way, and approximately 47 feet from the Beechwood Avenue right-of-way. So it's set with South Edgemere Drive being its front yard. It's set much significantly toward the rear end of the property. One of the characteristics of this lot, which adds to the charm of the lot and the neighborhood, there are large, mature white oak trees located in the southern yard. And we're hoping to be able to keep those white oak trees. The proposed additions to the building, there's a 144 square foot addition located on the south side, which will contain a covered porch, but the architect will go into that in more detail, with a balcony serving the master bedroom. And the northern addition will include a two-story addition with will include family room amenities and a second floor with the expansion of the bedrooms. There is also a proposed deck located on the north side of that addition. Because the, number one, we technically have two front yards because of the through lot. We're seeking relief for the deck located in a front yard area, and because of its nature, it also has to conform to the setback requirements of the principal structure. So the principal structure is required to be 30 feet from the right-of-way of Beechwood Road, but that deck is 24.8 feet, so a variance is necessary. There is an existing shed located near the northwest corner of the property. That shed is proposed to be removed, along with an existing flagstone patio located to the north of the existing structure. The removal of these impervious surfaces helps compensate for the additional impervious surfaces created by the building additions and the deck. So the net change in impervious surface as proposed is only 218 square feet. Bill is correct. The property has limited topographic change, more particularly at the north end, where the Beechwood Avenue Road only has a pitch of about 1/4 percentage point on the gutter line. We would propose, as a part of the drainage solution, and we'll get into that further when we discuss the parking demand, that the roof leaders for the house be collected, run along the eastern property line to a dry well overflow grate located down near South Edgemere Drive, which is approximately 2 feet lower than the Beechwood Avenue side. In the event that system should fill, it could overflow through an existing depressed curb in South Edgemere Drive and flow via gutter flow to the drainage systems that occur in Edgemere Drive near the intersection of Stafford Street in Edgemere and near the intersection of Beechwood in Edgemere. But again, at the current time, we're only proposing 218 square feet of additional impervious surface coverage over what exists today.
But if you improve the drainage for the whole lot, wouldn't that be a benefit to the neighborhood, given that everything is really flat in there?
Yes, it would.
There you go.
So did that
Would be a reason for doing it, right, Jim?
Did that address your concern, Bill?
As long as we can, yeah. I don't have any problem at all with the expansion, modernization, whatever, the home.
But he needs to see the
I
plan
just-
and the details.
Yeah, I just don't want. When I look at the grading, there's a sump on the lot to the west, and if the water just happens to end up in that, then that guy's it's not fair.
So I have a question for Dave.
I don't know that you need a big. I'm sorry. I don't know that you need a big dry well. You simply need to get the water there, make it a perforated pipe. What doesn't get in the ground, get safely to the street. It's over.
I understand and agree. Yes.
So on the Beechwood side, the shed is coming down. It would be very nice if there was a small, either paver driveway or did you ever see those things where they have kind of pavers that grow grass through?
You can't. They're fine. You just have to understand that they're tough to walk on.
Okay.
So if you have a woman get out of a car, say on a holiday or something, in high heels,
yeah,
or even any kind of a small,
right,
it's a little tough. I don't have a problem with the concept if that's what you like.
Well, I would just like to see one. I think it's great what you're doing, but I'd like to see one off the road parking space.
Well, I think he was getting to parking, right? Or somebody was going to.
Well, we'll be
some way.
speaking about it, but
Okay.
it's the applicant's desire to hopefully secure the waiver or variance for the absence of off-street parking for this site.
I'm not looking to ruin the front, and I'm not looking to take the oak out. And there's a way that you could put a nice, smallish type parking space.
Do pavers.
Do pavers, and
18 by 18.
Well, if you put a 9 by 18-foot space in off of South Edgemere, what does that do to the trees that are along there?
No, I don't want it on South Edgemere. I want it on Beach. I want it in the back on
You're
Beechwood.
talking about Beechwood.
I don't want to take those trees out in the
If you
front.
if you put it on Beechwood, you're going to put the parking space within 6 feet of the deck.
Correct. If the spaces are two spaces, 18 feet by 18 feet square of whatever surface, would end up being 6 feet off the northern edge of the proposed deck. Our concern is in the general principles of landscape architectural design, they say the front is for show, the rear is for living.
Right.
So where we were hoping to provide a screened private area where they could enjoy whatever activities they look to partake in their backyard, by introducing these parking spaces, we're now opening up that as if it were now the front yard.
I'm only asking for one.
I have a question, Dave.
I'm not asking for two.
Okay, the setback to the deck is what?
24
feet.
Okay.
24.8 feet.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's under the tree. Okay.
But Dave, I'm not asking for two. I'm just asking for a one.
By putting one up, you're eliminating the street parking.
Yeah. You're not. It's no net.
There's no net if you do that.
What do you mean?
Well, he's got one street parking stall. If you take that out and put in one head-in parking stall, it doesn't do anything.
Say that again.
Street parking.
You've lost the street parking to put in the one head-in parking stall, so it didn't do you any good. You got to either put in two and get a net of one, or just leave it.
As if you put two spaces in, you take two spaces off the street.
No, one.
One space off the street.
Yeah, so you net one, right? That's
Net
the point.
one.
If you put one on, you net zero.
Exactly. It's not worth it. Not worth it for one. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying about the concept of the front and the back, but for better or for worse, this home was built to have a really big front yard and a really small backyard because of the way they faced it. So, you're putting additions on, you're choosing not to reconfigure it to face the opposite way and give yourself a bigger backyard, or use the front more like a backyard. Those are all options. I'm very uncomfortable granting the application with no parking, and because because of exactly the situation. It's very tight, and you've only got one parking space there now on that side. So,
Well, if you put it 18 by 18,
you're making the house bigger, and there's going to be more cars. I mean, that
Oh, the house, you're adding 280 some odd square feet. It's not like we're putting a massive addition on. I mean, the issue is, wherever I put a space, you're going to lose space on the street.
Yeah, but if you put two, you net gain a space. You said it yourself.
Right.
Well, you said it, and I agree with the concept. But if I put two in the backyard, I have no backyard, and I've lost.
Well, you got 100 feet of front yard.
That was kind of my.
But the living room is on the front yard. I mean,
well,
I tell you what.
The other situation.
I mean, can't we work something out in the front yard?
We can get, well, if we put a space or two spaces in the front yard, what does that do to the trees?
Well, suppose you took one tree down, either one, and you had two stack spaces. So you had 9 by 36. So you could stack them one behind the other. At least it gives you two stalls.
Or
It
put a
takes
new
one
tree.
tree down and it gives you a place to have your drainage overflow and get safely to the street. And it solves all the problems.
Or one in the middle.
We're not trying to be ridiculous. We're just trying to.
Yeah.
There's no parking here, and
Could be.
I'm not denying it. I mean, I drove by there today, and everybody parks on the street just
Right.
about. Even those people with driveways park on the street.
Less maintenance if you pay for the backyard.
Well, let's get back to the parking later, and I'll bring Dave back and we'll discuss it and see what you can do in the meantime. I'm going to bring in Mr. Palafone on this. Now, his plans were introduced into evidence earlier.
Please state your name and address.
James M. Polifrone, Pollifrone, architect, 11 Avon Avenue, Oceanport, New Jersey.
Have you ever testified before this board before?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Continue.
Okay. I have the plans that were submitted, the 12 sheets, is all condensed in this little model. Okay.
I'd really rather not have to mark that into
Right.
Can I?
We can
mark it
mark
for
it A3 for
identification.
identification.
Can I mark it and then take pictures of it and give it to you so you have a record of it?
We can
It's
mark
very difficult to file.
Yeah, A3. Is that A3, Peter?
Yes, no, A4.
Mark it A4 for identification. We won't admit it into evidence.
But if you want, I can give you pictures and a transmittal. That's what I testified for. Right.
I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think they have a problem with the architecture. I think we got a problem with the parking and drainage.
Okay. I don't think
Now you have to have the microphone because it goes
Oh,
to the
okay.
recording system, please.
If you want to put it on the.
Let me,
You can put it up here.
so everybody can see. This part, I'm going to pass it around. The A part here, that's the original house. Okay?
Okay.
And there was a little shed dormer in the front and a little shed dormer in the back. Okay? Now what was talked about before was the front porch, which overlooks on towards Deal Lake, is a covered front entry. This gable with the arch window is just basically an expansion of the master bedroom ceiling. It lines up with the first floor. And then there's a walkout balcony so you can actually have coffee in the morning and look towards the lake. Okay? The rear basically is the same concept as the roof line as I did in the front. And that is just basically taking two small little bedrooms and making them into one bigger bedroom. And then there's an expansion on the bottom, which is basically an open family room. And then that's the deck. So this basically represents what I did on my drawings.
I think it's very nice.
Thank you.
So, okay, siding will match, roof will match, everything's going to match when it's done, right?
Yes, well, there's probably everything is going to come off and be redone because the house needs work.
Okay. Everybody happy with that? I don't think we have a
I
problem.
always make models. Because if I don't know how it looks like, what it looks like, then. Okay.
I don't think anybody has a problem with the architecture. I think
Okay.
that's fine.
But I just like to make sure that people understand, because if I don't understand that, I can't explain it to the board. That's my philosophy. This is old school, but it works.
Sir, how many bedrooms are existing?
There was one bedroom in the front and two in the back, and the same amount of bedrooms will remain.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Wrap that together before breakfast.
Card or something, I'll document everything. Because I've done it before.
I don't have a problem with this. I got a problem with parking.
You gotta decide. I mean, the next application, same thing. One park.
Every house in that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Every house in that neighborhood is being remodeled. It's like one of those neighborhoods, you know. So people don't want to move out. They want to do some sort of open pavement so that we're not increasing impervious surface coverage. Some sort of open grass green or but we get credit for the distance from the curb.
There's no sidewalk. Okay.
Plus, there's also other detached garages. Fairly common, so it's a common situation that occurs.
All right, we'll testify to that.
Guys need a break? We all right? Dave? You good? Okay.
In discussing the parking situation with the applicant, we've come up with a potential solution for providing 2 parking spaces coming off of the Beechwood Avenue right-of-way. We felt the front yard in Edgemere with the trees and the vista over to Deal Lake does not want to be occluded by any parking spaces. That's why we're electing to offer this compromise. Where we're removing the shed, we're proposing to include 2 parking spaces with a pavement surface of some sort of porous material, either
What about pavers? Just pavers.
grass-creek pavers, something that would not increase by any significant manner the runoff.
We're not upset about the runoff as long as it gets to the street.
But what we're seeking for relief for is the 18-foot by 18-foot box would occupy most of the area where the shed is being removed, plus the area from the right-of-way line to the curb line of Beechwood
The board
Avenue.
doesn't have jurisdiction over that. That's the town council.
We were thinking of that just again.
That's where the apron is, isn't it?
Huh?
Isn't that where the apron is?
There's no
It is,
apron.
but you usually can't park on an apron. Why don't we do it this way? Board approve it with the 2 typical parking stalls on the property, with the caveat that if the council grants you relief to slide it forward, it can go that way. That way it gets you the approval that you want now, with the ability to do what you're saying as long as you do the next approval.
And that's something that we believe would have merit, because there are a number of detached garages along Beechwood that have that same situation where they only have 10 feet from the detached garage to the curb line.
Correct, but you don't park in that 10 feet, and you're asking to be able
Yes.
to park in that 10 feet.
Yes, we are.
The difference is if the town puts in sidewalks, now you've got it blocked. That's why you got to go to the council for that. Let them decide how they want to handle that. We don't have jurisdiction anyway, but this gives you everything you want, and the board everything it wants. We got 2 parking stalls, which is what the board seems to want, and you have the ability to move forward. If the council lets you, we would change it. You know.
And in conjunction with that, we would be seeking setback relief for the western parking setback from the western property line to probably about a 2-foot setback where 5 feet is required.
I don't think that, but that's not a problem, right?
It eliminates a variance. It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
How about the board? What do you think about that? Good?
Yeah.
Where- is there a home on that side?
Trees, because
Is there a home on one side?
That's a good question.
The single-family home adjacent to us to the west is located more toward the south end of that lot. There are some accessory uses in their backyard, but again, that is their backyard. The home, it is a through lot also, and the home is located closer to South Edgemere Drive.
I'm sorry to ask this question because of the possible answer, but can we give them can we grant them a new variance without notifying the neighbors?
Yeah, because we provide in our notice and such other variances as may be necessary. Okay.
So basically, we say, and we may come up with brand new things you wouldn't even contemplate.
But they've asked for a variance for no off-street parking. Okay, that's part of the request. So in conjunction with that, we're saying no, you can't have that, but you can have something 2 feet off, and that's it's a situation that if anybody was interested, they should have been here. Number one, and number two, since we provided for such other variances that may be required or suggested by our professionals, I think we even put that in language in there, don't we? No.
Wait, I wasn't listening to that.
What's our language?
Yeah.
Well, this was actually their own language, but
Good.
they did include any and all other variances.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, John, there's a shed there now, that close to the property
True.
line.
Okay.
Yeah. So this will
Good point.
this will
It's
remove
actually
some
better.
visual
Be
impact.
a better solution.
Well, all you're telling us is that you're waiving the 2 parking space variance request. So you're going to comply, but you will need a 2-foot setback on the western side.
Right.
To comply.
Correct.
If you can get it to be further into the street,
Yeah.
that's it. That's whatever you can create is fine.
But if
And
you
it'll
can't,
be,
then
and
at
with
least
a paver material. I mean, a porous paver material.
Porous material, yes.
yeah. Yeah, I mean you could do nice gravel if you wanted to. Whatever, we'd be open on that. That's kind of a, that neighborhood is a little unique over there. But wouldn't have a couple different. Everything doesn't have to be paved black.
Right.
It's fine.
We good?
That's all I have for you
Okay.
today.
Peter, you good?
So that's it.
So before we go any further, I'm gonna have Russ come over here and sit here because if they gotta go to council, since I sleep with the councilwoman, they're gonna have to.
Only if they want to. They don't. We're not forcing them to go to council.
Wait, wants to sleep with his wife? Or?
That's it.
No one's saying they have to. If they want to use the right of way, you
But are
guys
you
don't have
gonna do
jurisdiction.
that? Because
Well,
if there's
just,
a chance he's gonna do it, I don't want to
Let's
cloud
move
this.
on.
I don't want to cloud the situation. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's recusing himself.
Okay. So Russ.
Let's finish up. And it's a bulk variance anyhow.
So I think that means we're up, if I'm paying attention enough, we're up to closing the public hearing. Is there a motion? Well, first of all, is there anybody from the public care to be heard on this application? Seeing no one, is there a motion to close
Make
the
a
public
motion to close the public hearing. Second.
hearing? Call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes, it's not going to let them have it.
Yes.
Yes, it's not going to let them
All right, is there a motion on the application? I'll move for positive with the condition they're withdrawing the application for the waiver of the 2 parking spaces, but in consideration of that we're give them included in that would be the variance they need on the setback there. Were there any other conditions?
Well, the rest of them are basically side yard setbacks.
Okay.
And the drainage.
Well, the drainage they're providing.
They're going to provide a drainage
Provide a
system.
drainage
to the street
system.
Subject, because
Subject
now
to
that you're doing
Bill's
this, you might
review.
think
We're-
about going that way and split it. Might be easier. Make it cheap.
And that's my motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
So subject to a drainage system.
Eric, you second it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Your approval. Okay.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Levine?
Yes.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
Mrs. Now?
Yes.
And Mr. Laura?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Russ.
Thank you.
What?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Hold on a second, just throw this.
I just don't want to cloud it.
Just give me a second, I'll be out of your way.
Hey man, good to see you. Good up there. There you go. Sounds good.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next case is case number 5, Todd and Laura Hundley, block 73, lot 8, 515 Beechwood Avenue, West Allenhurst, zone R5. This is an application to construct a 2-story addition, covered front porch with variances for front yard setback under minimum, side yard setback under minimum, rear yard setback under minimum, and building coverage over maximum. James T. Hundley, Esquire, the attorney. Good evening, Mr. Hundley.
Good evening.
How are you? So you
Hundley, representing the applicants, Todd and Laura Hundley, close personal friends of mine. Just by the way, we're right across the street from the last application. We were going to raise an objection. I misspelled Beechwood. They spelled it with an A, B-E-C-H, but we'll let that slide.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rachel, can you mark the packet, please? Jim?
Okay, I'm going to summarize, very broadly summarize. This is a very similar application to the last one in that you have a grossly undersized lot with a very small house. And as a result of that, there are a number of pre-existing nonconformities. And by expanding the house, they're increasing some of those nonconformities and leaving some of them the same. And I don't have any real problem with the additions to the house, because I think it makes the house, brings it more into conformity with the other houses in the area. There's a variance for an air conditioner setback, and I think that's a technicality. It's required to be set back 10 feet, but the principal structure is only required to be set back 7.5 feet. And I think that was an oversight when the ordinance for this zone was prepared a number of years ago. So I think that's more of a technical variance. And the only real issue is that, again, we have a parking space issue. And what my report says is that there's no net change in the parking. They're providing one off-street parking space. It's undersized in terms of its length, and that there's no net change. But Bill whispered in my ear before, and he's right, by putting that parking space in, you're eliminating one on the street. So while this use increases the parking requirement by one space, there is no additional space provided because you're taking one off the street and putting another one on the site. So there's actually a net loss of one parking space in terms of the requirement.
Okay. Bill?
Here comes the broken record report. Because this is like, as far as I'm concerned, this is a 2-minute deal. The house is beautiful. He got a great architect. He's not too good with drainage, but that's all right. He's good with architecture. If he was good with drainage, he wouldn't do these nice houses. See, he'd be like me. Having said that, the only thing I'm asking, this is the second iteration. They're working with us because there's a house right next door, I mean right up to the rear line. So if they take the addition to the back of their existing house, there's no clear way to get the water out of there. So they've pulled it forward, they made that adjustment. The only thing that I would ask is that they widen this driveway so you get 2 off-street stalls, make the other one conforming in depth, and get the drainage onto the driveway and onto the street. Make it simple. I mean, you're net increasing your parking requirement by 1. If you give us 1 more parking stall, it's a no-brainer.
And then you'd require a variance again for the setback of the parking from the property line, but it's almost identical to the last application.
It gives you a way to get the water out to the street. You don't want to have a driveway next to the
16-foot stall
foundation.
What? Yeah, that wouldn't be 16, but most cars will fit in a 16-foot stall.
Don't make the other one 18. This will be,
make
it'll be
the other
fine.
one 18, yeah.
Didn't we just hear this?
Yeah. I just thought we get the.
Okay,
Mr. Hundley, who's going to testify?
We'll have the applicant Lauren Hundley testify, and then also Mr. Passman, and also our planner who testified earlier. So if I may have witnesses sworn in.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sure. First?
Yeah.
Please state your name and address.
Lauren Hundley, 515 Beechwood Avenue, West Allenhurst, New Jersey.
Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Lauren, you currently live at 515 Beechwood Avenue, is that correct?
Yes.
And who else resides there beside you?
My husband Todd and our daughter Chloe.
And how old is Chloe?
19 months.
Now, you purchased the property in October of 2016, is that correct?
Yes.
And after you purchased it, there were interior renovations done to the property.
Yep. We renovated the property from the studs out, so new floors, everything, the whole 9 yards, new windows.
And can you just briefly describe the existing first floor layout?
Sure. It's an open concept, so it's the kitchen and the living room separated by a counter, a full bathroom with a small mudroom.
And as far as the eating arrangements in the current house, is there any issues with the eating arrangements?
Yes, so the counter that separates the living room and kitchen only allows for 3 counter bar stools, which is really the only dining area we have right now.
And as far as your daughter and your living room, is that any issues with that?
Our living room currently doubles as a play/toy room.
And the proposed addition is a 2-story addition, is that correct?
Yes.
And as far as the first floor of the proposed addition, what is the proposed use of that?
We would be adding on a more formal dining area that would accommodate family meals, a small playroom for Chloe and any future children, and then it would be an exterior storage area for tools and small bikes and stuff.
And can you also describe the current layout of the second floor as it currently exists?
Sure. We have we have our bedroom, we have a full bathroom, then we have a nursery, which is our daughter's room right now, which really only can accommodate a crib and a changing table, not much more.
And what is the proposed addition on the second floor?
We would be adding 2 larger bedrooms, so our daughter would move into one, and then if we had another child, they would have the other bedroom. Bathroom stays the same, and then the current nursery would likely turn into a small home office because my husband and I work from home several days a week.
And what do you currently use as your home office?
A little slice of my small walk-in closet.
And as far as the plans, currently, is there any on-site parking?
No, there's not.
And the plan is proposing a 1-car parking in front of the proposed addition, and the planner and the engineer propose a second parking space. Do you have any objections to the 2 parking spaces?
We would ideally not like to have 2, unless it's because we have a fence up and we have a dog and we have a daughter. So we'd have to move the fence back, so our green space would be cut down dramatically. But I guess, I'm open to a conversation.
So you would prefer 1, but you'll settle for 2? Would that
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm turning that way. And you have anything else you'd like to add about the application? No? Okay. Thank you. Any questions of the applicant?
Questions?
No, through level.
Where's the
I have
fence?
one quick question.
It's on the front. It actually goes across the entire front. But we would be where the parking is in front of that outdoor storage. We would probably cut it back so that you wouldn't have to pull through the fence. So we would kind of wrap it around there. So it would be on the one side of a parked car in the driveway, but not on the other where the porch is.
Got it. Okay.
You're increasing the size of your dining area to accommodate family?
Well, we don't have an actual dining area
so
right now. It's
I'm
just like the
just
bar.
questioning. You realize then that your in-laws are going to be coming to visit you more often.
They already do.
What do you think baby says, Mr. Higgins?
Okay.
No garage.
But tell me,
Is that right? It's just
Tell me
the spot.
about what we're doing for these 2 parking spaces, because one of them is shy in depth.
Yeah, I mean, that, I don't have a big problem with that. Most cars can fit in a 16-foot space.
Yeah, that's.
So if you had one 18 and one 16, that would be fine.
But is that a reality also if they want to have some living space? Can you leave them both?
I looked at. I mean, I'm no architect. Don's the architect. He can tell you, but they're really restricted. The house is pretty small. What they're doing is fairly modest.
Yeah.
You can't ask them to push that addition back and to get an 18-foot stall when 16 and a half will be fine for most.
I meant the
it's
other
just
one.
the bedrooms
You
would
meant-
be
you
too small.
meant-
It'd be crazy.
I meant the other
Yeah,
one.
Mark
But-
was saying to have 2 16.5-inch spaces instead of taking more of this open area.
Yeah, all right. You know what? I don't have an issue with it.
16.5 foot, 9 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep the head of the parking even with the face of the building.
Yeah, by
Front
18.
facade. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, 2, and what would be then the side yard?
The side yard would be about 2 feet. I scaled it off a little while ago. And
13 looks like it's hanging over about 1.5 feet, so that's about 3 feet setback. It's about 3 foot.
Is it?
It's whatever it takes to push this another 9 feet. I mean, we have a plan in front of us, so it's pretty easy.
It's between 2 and 3 feet.
So we'll make it 2 feet. They'll grant a variance to have it up to 2
Yeah,
feet.
if they want to make it wider, it's fine.
No, not so much wider, but if they can
They're
definitely
not
get
gonna.
it in.
They're not worried.
They'll definitely get it in, and I think it would look funny going
You'll get your
2 ways.
Yeah.
If that's what we want.
Would we like to bring Mr. Passman up?
Yes, I think he's chomping at the bit.
Yeah, he is back there.
Mr. Passman, grab the microphone over there first of all.
5 minutes, Tom.
Yeah, at the most.
Please state your name and address.
Home address? My work address. Passman, Don Passman, Passman Orglino Architects on Alair Avenue in Ocean.
Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
I'm the architect for this project. I'm sorry I don't have a model. Not as old school as Jim.
We know you can work.
But I am
magic.
old school. I'm good. I just want to address. I know you guys are. Everybody's talking about the second parking space. I'll ignore the part about the house because there's setbacks and everything. I guess there's not really a big issue with that.
No.
We don't violate height.
Nope.
The attic is just a little attic. There's no living quarters up there. The addition is on a crawl space. As far as parking spaces, losing one on the street, so to speak, really you don't. You lose a half. She's got a 9-foot wide
So you can
driveway
put the
going
half
up.
car.
Well, you have a half. The other car will park behind that car. So they're not really, and Lauren told me a long time ago, she can testify too, never had a problem parking on that street without a driveway, without anything. Now, all of a sudden, they want 2. One, with the car behind it, takes up another half, 9 feet of 18, and there's the parking on that side of the street. Parking is permitted on that side of the street, and there's never been a real issue. She's trying to save her yard. And if you go to the site, you go, okay, this is the yard, that's it. Yeah, it'd be nice to save the yard and have green space. I sympathize with it. I can't convince these parties to negate the 2, okay, fine. But I think 1's enough, personally. Maybe we do the same kind of thing. Say, okay, if it doesn't work out, you green bank 1 spot. I would even say make it an 8x16 because a compact car kind of a deal. I mean, I'm trying to be conservative with their space, and it's teeny. And if you can give them more green, she would love it. I know Lauren for 25 years, maybe more. I don't know. But I know she's, bought this house. She's really into this lot in this neighborhood. And there's no real reason to have that second spot,
Yeah,
in my
there is.
opinion.
There's an ordinance requirement, and there's a state law that requires 2 parking spots for the house.
It's a waiver and a variance. I mean,
And
they've been living with it without. That's the point.
They're making a 3-bedroom house to their
Correct.
benefit. Now we're gonna have teenagers with cars at some point in time. Okay, it's now when I hear it's a 1-bedroom with a little alcove.
Right.
Now it's gonna be 3 full bedrooms plus
Full
a little
bedrooms,
alcove.
correct.
So now you have they sell the
I'm
house
just
tomorrow.
telling you my opinion on this.
They sell the house
I'm not-
tomorrow.
okay.
Unfortunately, you know what the situation is in that neighborhood. It's a very nice neighborhood. People are remodeling the houses one after another, and they have families. They stay there. They don't move out. They have multiple children. They have multiple cars. You know, you have 2 kids, 2 teenagers, you have 2 adults. All of a sudden, you have 4 cars. So now, really, you're minus 2 parking spaces. You didn't gain 2. You're minus 2. So it becomes an issue. It becomes an issue for this board. Although we want to see green on property, it also becomes an issue that it makes a difference in these neighborhoods in the future. And in 5 years, maybe the Hundleys decide to move to Wayside or to another part of the town, and somebody else can move in there and already have teenagers and 4 cars. And that's our issue.
I understand.
And I know you can make it look great anyway.
So if you decide to grant this, and if they put in,
Right.
what I'm hearing is that what they're looking for is a sufficient area for 2 parking spaces 18 feet wide, but only 16.5 feet deep, which is a variance.
Right. Correct. And the variance is set back to the westerly line.
And what are we using for material? Are we
Well,
using
I
a
mean,
pervious
we don't. The
paver?
ordinance. I don't know that it matters. Any acceptable driveway material could be a gravel driveway, could be a paver driveway, could be concrete, could be. I mean,
And
you know, I
it
don't
could
think
be
they want to see
concrete or
asphalt.
something with ribbons,
Huh?
with the grass ribbons. They can do that too.
Grass ribbons.
You know,
The Hollywood
concrete
driveway?
at the
I don't
tires
think
and
that's
grass
permitted.
in
That's
between.
one thing that's not permitted. The Hollywood driveways.
Yeah, no, we don't do that.
I don't
You don't
think
do
that's
that,
permitted.
You're going to need a surface. to
Okay,
be
so
able to work.
pavers or something would be
Pavers would be
appropriate.
fine.
Okay,
Pavers, concrete, a mix. You could do pavers, concrete with a paver border.
right.
We can do the grass. I think you had mentioned the.
Oh, you mean that?
grass.
Yeah, I don't even know what they're called. What are they called?
You'll find that's more of a maintenance headache
That's a
than
nightmare.
anything
You
else.
can't mow it.
Yeah, it's
It's got to be a mud hole.
Yeah, what happened?
I'm
They
really
can,
wrong.
but they can do it
They can do it.
if that's what they want. But
And then they could undo it and redo it.
yeah.
But they
You're
could
talking
do it,
about
right?
a small area. The house is going to look great if you put pavers and concrete a mix. It's probably fairly cost effective, and you'll love the look. It won't look like a black asphalt driveway.
Any questions from the board,
No.
audience?
Wanna go?
Thank you.
And we'd also like to conclude with our planner. I mean, the board has no questions of the architect.
We have no questions.
No.
We're
Here for my encore.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Barbara Allen. It's EHLEN. I'm from Beacon Planning, and we're located at 315 Route 34, Suite 129 in Colts Neck, New Jersey.
You've already been sworn once tonight.
Yes, I have.
No, not in this application, Chad. Actually.
Oh, we got to do it again? Oh,
Yeah, here we
okay.
go.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's different than being carried.
Okay.
You want to have those marked?
You want to
Yeah,
mark?
let's just mark them.
Okay. Rachel?
I'll do all of them as A1. Unless I don't know what they're. Oh, okay. That one will be A1.
That's Google Map.
A1 is an aerial of the property, and depicting the property and the neighborhood surrounding. And A2 is just a photo board with 4 photos depicting the neighbor. This is block. This is lot 9.02. This is
The first one being the upper left.
the upper left is our neighbor, and they're located on lot 9.02. To their rear is block 9.01 in the lower left-hand corner. In the upper right-hand corner is our property, and in the lower right-hand corner is lot 7. So just to familiarize you with the neighborhood, this is the subject property. The majority of lots actually are through lots. Somehow these 4 lots got subdivided on themselves, so they're about 30% of the lot size that they're supposed to be. The property is located in the R5 zone and it is a permitted use. I believe we've already run through all the variances that are requested, though I will say if two parking spots are permitted, there would probably be an increase in lot coverage that would require a variance as well.
But there would be a trade-off with the.
Yeah, with
I
providing.
don't
the
think
parking
anyone has any problem with.
Yeah, I'm just saying because it wasn't mentioned when we
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
when you were
that's
discussing
correct.
it.
Okay, and lot coverage. We have any idea how much?
Well, they, I mean, you can figure it out quick, but they already need a lot coverage variance. I remember it's just.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that if we went forward that was included. So
Good point.
It's
well, I
not
give my spiel for 5 minutes. You guys can
18 by 16.
dimension that out.
Give me approximate.
So Township's master plan describes this actual area. The section of West Allenhurst, it says it is an area in which originally developed as a resort community with a number of small bungalow-type houses. Lot sizes in this area of the neighborhood vary from as small as 2,000 up to 16,000 square feet. As I said, the subject property is vastly undersized, as well as the existing home.
No, they won't have a lot coverage variance.
The home here as the subject property, they're proposing the addition over here with the driveway here and the side yard over here, which they were hoping to preserve. Just as a character, this is the neighbor who was built in 2011, I believe, and the homes to the rear with only one parking spot provided here and no parking provided to the property directly to the rear of our subject property.
And just to clarify, there is no lot coverage variance. They're permitted 90% of buildable lot area. And
nowhere near.
What was proposed previously is well below that. This small parking area will not bring it up to 90%. Or even
Okay.
close.
Great. The also stated objectives of the master plan is to maintain the character and the value of the existing residential neighborhoods, which the applicant is proposing. They're proposing a home that is in line with the neighborhood, provide for a modern family, and will bring the home up to standards looked for more modern families. We can look to the MLUL for special reasons, and it would be to provide citizen space in appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses. And to promote a desirable visual environment through the creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. The applicant is requesting variances, the majority of which qualify under C1 criteria, which is hardship, as I stated, the parcel is undersized. The addition does trigger variances, but they more than respect the setbacks established by the existing home with respect to the rear and front yard.
That's a lot, though.
Yeah.
Small lot.
Yeah, very small lot.
Under, I believe that's
Where's the accessory building? What's the accessory structure?
I believe all the rest of the variances were addressed specifically.
Drainage. Subject to. Built to.
Any questions for the planner?
We don't need lot coverage.
No.
It's building coverage and it's going up from 39 to 59%.
Okay, that's what it
that
was.
stays the same. The driveway wouldn't make any difference. That's
That's
impervious. And
Yeah.
we don't,
Exactly.
That's up to 90%, so you're good with that.
Yep.
And if
I had one other question. Is that what it was?
Everything gonna match?
Oh, yeah, well, that's the standard stuff.
Well,
with respect to the building coverage, were the parcel to be at the proper size, we'd more than respect that standard.
Oh, shit.
you also couldn't do a decent improvement any smaller. I mean,
Right, and did we talk about drainage?
well, we're gonna get it out to the street, right? We just get it on the lawn out to the street. You don't want that perforated pipe next to the foundation. Make it damp. Just put it on the ground. Let it run out. Let it run out.
Splash box, let it run out.
Yeah, I think you can get a little grade across that lawn and get it to run right to the street.
We're gonna make drainage subject, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay, you work it out with the engineer, fully satisfied. Board doesn't get involved. So whatever you work out with Bill and he signs off on it, then you're okay. I think you better question the people in the audience.
Mr. Hundley, is that your conclusion?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public to be heard? Motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
For a second.
Rachel, please call the roll.
First.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Green? Mr. Malta?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Jessica?
Yes.
Mr. Laura?
Yes.
Action?
I'll move for positive resolution with the 2 parking spaces.
We should wait for that.
Second.
Rachel, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Please see Rachel tomorrow. That concludes our meeting tonight. Thank you all for coming.